Kyler, no more con. Okay, this needs to go over here. This needs to go over here. No more con. Okay? Okay? Enough.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome, everybody, to the return of the Cover 2 podcast. I am Nick Nenad.
I am Jared Smith.
Jared, we're back. We're in different spots. We're in different places around the state of California, but we are back.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm down in San Diego. You are now in Irvine, Tustin, where I used to be. So, of course, when you move to where I am, I have to move down south as well.
Of course.
I'm now a San Diego Padres fan, no longer an Angels fan. They suck. They just traded away, the two good players that they had that were healthy, other than Ohtani. The Padres, on the other hand, are going for the whole shebang. They're going for the World Series. So I'm fully on their bandwagon now. I got the hat, but I still rep my Cowboys. We got training camp going on. So much to talk about, man. Right? It's like we've been gone for so long. We have a great show for you guys today. We're going to get into the NFL a little bit later, talk about the Miami Dolphins and their scandal and what's going on with them. We've got breaking news that just came out today. We're recording on Wednesday. This just came down about an hour ago with the Deshaun Watson suspension and the NFL appealing. So we're going to get into that as well. But we have to start with baseball, with the Padres. Nick, I know you're excited. You got your Dodgers jersey on right now. Your team was actually a little quiet in the trade deadline, but it's okay. We'll get into the one player that I know that your Dodgers got in just a minute. But where do you want to start off, man? Do we start with the Padres? Where do we go?
I mean, yeah, I think we have to, right? I mean, because you guys saw on social media that I've been on Twitter so much through this trade deadline. I posted a video about the Juan Soto trade. It is absolutely historic. I've never seen anything like this in sports. Really, a guy getting traded this young in his career, a projected Hall of Famer, and then the return back, absolutely insane. So, Jared, I think we got to talk about that. And you being down in San Diego, we are 5 hours away from just pandemonium down there at Petco Park around where you live. They're setting out. I follow another podcast. Shout out to the Divine Sports Gospel. They cover the Padres. It's one of my buddies who I went to a Catholic school with back in the day.
Nice.
He's part of that podcast. I think there's Padres season ticket holders. They're getting texts, on a Wednesday night, random Wednesday night in August that it's going to be insane. Like the crowd's going to be packed. Get there early, and it's good. So I'm going to tape it and watch the game for sure. Because I know they won't allow me to watch the Dodgers because of blackout restrictions, obviously. So I'll actually get to watch the Padres, which is going to be the better game tonight, So, yeah, I think we got to start with that, Jerry. What are your thoughts on it being obviously like down in San Diego and just seeing a trade like this happening? Obviously, I know you follow baseball not as much as me, but I believe you know who Juan Soto is, of course, and you know how good he is. What are your thoughts on this mega trade that happened yesterday between the Nationals and the Padres?
Yeah, I mean, the guy's he's kind of good, right? He's okay.
Yeah.
Just came in as a rookie at 19 years old and literally lit up the league. No, I think this is unprecedented from multiple aspects, right? We have not seen a player this young, right, get traded with so much potential. I mean, when you turn down a 5-year, what was it, $400 and something million contract.
Yep.
And I get it. It was, spread out through a long period of time. So he may have not on a yearly basis been the highest player paid per year, but for the length of the contract, that's a lot of damn money to turn down. And so if you're Washington, you got to say, wow, like this guy's turning this down. He obviously doesn't want to be a part of our future. But the thing is like, he's a homegrown talent. So where did the conflict come in? Where did the disconnect come into where Juan Soto said, nope, I'm turning down that money. I'm going to bet on myself. And I'm basically going to force the Nationals' hand for them to trade me. That is to me one of the biggest intriguing stories. We can talk about the haul that the Padres gave up to get Juan Soto. We can talk about how young he is, how great of a talent he is. He's probably a top 5 baseball player in the league right now at the age of 23. But for me, I really want to get your perspective on where did the disconnect come from? Like why? I get the Nationals are not as good as Padres, right? So from a competitive standpoint, I can understand. But is there anything else like $400-something million? It's a lot of money to turn down, right? Like
Yeah.
there's no guarantee that you're not going to, knock on wood, right? Tear an ACL or do something tomorrow that's going to, kind of hurt your chances and maybe cost you some money. So what happened with the Nationals that made Juan Soto want to leave?
Well, I think there's two things. Okay. One is they suck. Okay. And he didn't want to be, that Jerry, they won the World Series the year before COVID. They won the World Series. They went from the penthouse to the outhouse in 3 years. Okay. I mean, they're arguably one of the worst teams in the league. Now they are the worst. And with a bunch of expiring contracts and guys that are hurt like Strasburg and stuff like that, it's not good there anymore. So I think he didn't want to be part of a long rebuild. And so that's number one, because that does matter. Winning does matter. If you've tasted winning at the highest level before, at the peak, winning a championship, why would you want to sit with a team 5-6 years down the road, not making the playoffs and not being competitive, right? That's number one. Number two, I think there was a magic number, and I don't think the Nationals got even close to it. Because when you actually, yeah, I think that magic number has a 5 attached to it. We saw it with Patrick Mahomes. $500 million, I think, was at least what he needed to get in his mind. And arguably, the way sports contracts are going, a kid that's 23 that has all this potential, really no injury history, there's no reason why he shouldn't get that. And like we've said before, Jared, I know you harped on this as well. He plays every day. That's different than the starting pitcher that plays every 5 days. So I've always believed too that hitters should get a little bit more money than pitchers, especially if they're not like a DH or anything like that. And he's a legitimate outfielder. And part of that also is super agent Scott Boras. This guy yesterday,
he's earning his money.
Yeah, if you look at the trade details, which we'll get into, he had multiple not customers, what's the word for it, but he had multiple players clients. Idiot, I know. Yeah, I can't even think of the word. They drank too much of the Angels. Sorry, last night.
It's been a minute since we've done a podcast, so it's going to take a sec to kind of get back in rhythm. It's fine. That's what we're here for.
No,
I got you.
But you guys got to remember. So I don't know if I posted. I think my phone was off most of the night. I went to the Angel game last night and had a few too many brewskis, so my head is a tiny bit clouded.
No, you look good though. You look good. I would have never known.
Yeah. Well, I had to take a shower and stuff like that, to get ready for this podcast. I did look terrible about 2 hours ago, but nonetheless. Scott Boras, multiple of his clients yesterday were messing with that Nationals Padres deal, guys with no trade clauses, all that stuff. So I think the two things that happened were he didn't get a magic number. Scott Boras didn't get a magic number. And the Nationals are also just not good. And he didn't want to be part of a rebuild. And I think he also didn't like that it was leaked. I had heard that from his camp, that he didn't like the fact that the contract number was leaked. And so he just kind of felt disrespected. What better way to hook up a team than instead of going and signing off into the sunlight and waiting for your contract to expire, than say, hey, I want to get traded right now. Give me the best value ever. And Jared, that's where I want to turn to you. Because I gave my opinion on this yesterday. I'll give more of it today. The haul back for Juan Soto. We're talking multiple top 5 prospects, major league players. What did you think about what the Nationals got and what the Padres gave up?
I mean, if I'm the Padres, you have to do this, right? You're in a division with the Dodgers, who are, their history is being in contention for winning World Series, right? And obviously the last 3-4 years, they had been in serious contention, if not made the World Series. So that is the leader, right, at the top of the mountain, the Dodgers. And then obviously you've got the Giants, who have been every other year, it seems like they're good, right? And the Padres, for at least most of our lifetime, right? I'm 32, you're in your mid-late 20s, have absolutely sucked. They've been garbage, right? Yes, they've had Tony Gwynn, they've had some good years, but for the most part, it's just been a lot of down years. And then the last couple of years, you get Manny Machado, you obviously have Tatis Jr., who, if I'm not mistaken, came up within their farm system, right? So they have started to finally rebuild that system after years and years and years of complete crap, right? Like just not being competitive. And so I think when you have an opportunity to get this caliber of player at the age of 23, right? You already have two superstars on your team in Machado and Tatis Jr., but now you can bring on Juan Soto, who can literally kind of get this team over the hump. And so to me, it didn't matter what the haul cost, as long as you weren't taking away from winning this year. And I think that's what matters, is getting not just getting into the playoffs this year, but making some noise, right? Getting past the wild card, getting into the divisional, and then the ALCS, and then potentially even the World Series, right? At some point, you're going to have to go through the Dodgers. And I think this move was to say, we are serious. We're here. We're not joking around anymore. We're not here just to make the playoffs. We're here to actually win. So what the Nationals got back, I think is good for a rebuilding team. But a lot of those guys are still prospects, and you still never know, right? They're unproven talents, as I like to call them. But yeah, those prospects, they're probably going to get a better chance to play because they're in Washington and the team sucks. So they're probably going to let them get on the field. As to
make
where
more
if
money.
they stayed,
Yeah.
right? If they stayed with the Padres, they were probably going to either stay in that farm system, or maybe they get called up for the postseason, but you're not really going to be playing, right? You're going to be sitting on the bench when the rosters expand. So I think it's somewhat of it's more of a win for the Padres, obviously, because they're in contention.
Yeah.
But if you're Washington, you got to say, hey, this was the best offer. And really, from listening to all the national reporters and all the major, ESPN and all that stuff, this was the best haul that Washington could have gotten. There was no other team in Major League Baseball, all the other, 29, 30 teams, whatever, that could have given the Nationals this type of offer. So knowing that Juan Soto was not going to stay after that crazy offer that he declined, it was like, you have to make this deal. So I think at the end, for both sides, it's a win-win. And then not to mention, the Padres also get Josh Bell, right, who's hitting just over 300, one of the best hitters in the league, a first baseman, right? And so it wasn't enough for the Padres just to get Juan Soto. You go out and get Josh Bell as well. I think you put this on Twitter either yesterday or the day before when this trade first got executed, was this Padres lineup, top to bottom, can now legitimately compete with the Dodgers lineup, right? With the Astros and some of the other best teams in the league right now, with the Yankees. So like I said, the Padres are swinging for the fence, and they're going for the World Series. They're no longer just saying, okay, we're looking to be a good team. We want to win right now, and we're going to keep that winning sustainability for the years to come, right? You mentioned it. Washington wins the World Series in 2019, and then what? They tank. A one and done. It's like, yeah, congratulations.
Yeah.
You're going to go down in history as winning a World Series in 2019. But what did you guys do after that, right? Like, it's about building legacies and building dynasties. And Washington was not able to do that. And from hearing you earlier, I think that's one of the main reasons why Soto left, because he wants to be a part of an organization that is going to win and sustain that winning ability for years to come. So, yeah, if you're the Padres, you obviously have to be ecstatic. And if you're Washington, you're hoping that some of these prospects pan out, and the next 3 to 4 years, you guys can hopefully get back to some type of win.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. So you have who they got back. It was the main parts of this, the main guys, really. Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams. That's because they were already playing for the San Diego Padres at this point. And CJ Abrams hasn't done much in the major leagues, but it is his very first year, his first couple months in the league. Mike Trout wasn't very good his first couple months in the league too. So we'll hold back on any comment on him. He's still a top prospect. And Mackenzie Gore was really coming into his own before he got hurt. Was turning into one of their best pitchers on their staff, and that's a good staff. So they get those two guys. There's Robert Hassel III, who is a top 5 MLB prospect, arguably the number 1 guy, realistically. So those are the 3 guys. And then you look at the rest of the guys in the deal, and I'm not going to name everybody, but if you're the Nationals, you're rebuilding 100%. You're giving away Juan Soto, who's a future Hall of Famer. So the fact that you're giving a guy like that away, you need to get a lot in return. So what do? They just go, okay, well, we're just going to get like 4 potential Juan Sotos, and hopefully one of them pans out, and then technically they don't lose the deal at that point, right? Like, Jared, if 2 of these guys end up being somewhere close to Juan Soto, the deal at that point makes sense because, right, it's you had a guy and the rest of your roster sucked.
So
and
then realistically, this question can't be answered for another year or 2 until we see what the Nationals players pan out to be.
And really, I think it's more of what you said. I think it's 3 or 4 years, because how long did it take for Soto to turn into who he was realistically about 2.5 years. But now in his fourth or fifth major league season, we're seeing now, oh, this guy might be the best hitter in the league, like legitimately the best hitter and player in the league. So it's crazy. So I love the deal on both sides. And before I get into the Padres and all that stuff, for the Nationals, I mean, good for you. Like, you get the best possible scenario back. You get all of the best prospects, and you already sucked, and you're gonna suck, and you're gonna get the number one pick or whatever in the draft this year. You're gonna get a top 3 pick again, so you're gonna add another guy to that list. And we saw this with the Nationals in the past, and it's one of the reasons they won the World Series, right? They just were terrible. They built up Strasburg, Anthony Rendon, Bryce Harper, all those top picks in a row, and they eventually win a World Series with all of those guys. Funny enough, they're all gone now. So Juan Soto also is one of those guys as well. So, they just got to do it again. I feel bad for Washington sports right now. Washington sports fans, it's tough. I mean, I guess you still have – I guess you get to watch like Alexander Ovechkin potentially go for the goal record for a year or two now and beat Wayne Gretzky's goal record. But like, besides that, not much going on. And then also, of course, you have politics, which is like at its worst at this point now too. So yeah, not fun for Washington fans. But let me move to a fan base in the city, and then this, Jared, that is thriving, that is at its peak in sports. I mean, here's the thing, Jared. Chargers have never won the legitimate Super Bowl. Okay, they won like AFL Super Bowls back in the day, whatever the league was called at that point. The Padres, they've been to a World Series, have never won one. Yesterday, in my opinion, was the biggest day in San Diego sports history. Legitimately, in a positive sense, because obviously the biggest day was when the Chargers left and went to LA. But this was the biggest sports day in history, because not only did you add a top player in the sport, but you are now giving yourself a legitimate chance to do something you have never done before as a city, and that's win a championship. So that's how big this deal was, not only historically with the haul back the Nationals got and Soto being traded at 23, but the city that's getting this guy has never won anything before. So this is a really, really cool moment in sports, and what a baseball season this has been so far. We're watching history in New York with Aaron Judge. We're continuing to see Shohei Ohtani be the best baseball player ever, okay? And now we get a 23-year-old superstar traded to a city that's never won, that has always been the little brother to the big bad Los Angeles Dodgers, who, by the way, are still unbelievable as well. So, yeah, great day, San Diego sports, the best day.
I'll tell you what, like I said, I'm less than a 10-minute walk to Petco Park. I'll be going to some more games. I've only gone to one. I've been here for just over a month, but you can guarantee that I will be going to more Padres games. You will be seeing tweets, you'll be seeing pictures, you'll be seeing all that. Listen, this is all we have down here. Like, no offense to the Aztecs, the San Diego State Aztecs college football team. And I know there's a Major League Soccer team, I believe, here as well. Or I don't know if they're Major League Soccer, but there's
a minor league hockey team there too.
Minor league hockey team, right? But the Padres are now the only real professional team down here that anyone really cares about, right? And like I said, I'm new to that, so maybe I don't know much about soccer and I need to get more involved in that. But you're right. Like, the excitement here has been crazy. Like, I've already seen a Soto jersey walking down the street, taking my dog for a walk. Right, and the trade just happened a couple days ago.
Padres?
Yeah.
Oh,
so I don't know where this guy got it from. I don't know if he sewed it on himself. I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like, it's already crazy. So I can only imagine. Is he playing today? Or is his first game today?
Yeah, he's playing today.
So then, I can only imagine. And here's the thing, right? Coming from Orange County, and no offense, because I'm still an Angels fan, as that being my hometown, but I gotta say, Padres fans actually show up to the game, and they actually watch the game, and they actually support and root for their team. I was back in Orange County on Sunday, took my dad to the Angels game for his Father's Day gift, late Father's Day gift, but nonetheless, still we got to go, which was awesome, and share that moment. But, I think that stadium holds close to 40,000, maybe just a little bit under.
Yep.
And I was talking to one of the guys that worked there, and he said like they were expecting maybe 22,000, right? It was Sunday. It was perfect. The sun was out. It was a great day to be at a ballpark, and they are barely at half capacity. Now I get it. They're not like a great team. They're not really in contention for the playoffs, but still, like you don't have that buzz. You don't have that real serious fan base. And now coming down here to San Diego, just being here for a month, you can already feel it. Like people walk around with Padres hats on, with jerseys all the time, even if there's not a game going on. All the bars fill up with fans watching the game, then going to the game. You know what I mean? It's just a different atmosphere down here. So I'm excited. I'll be going to some games. You got to come down, take the train down. We'll come to a game.
100%.
We'll be posting on Twitter. I don't know. We'll have to find a way to do a podcast show somewhere at Padres Stadium. I'll have to
100%,
talk and make some connections and make something happen. But no, I'm just, like I said, I'm excited that the Padres they made this move. They are serious contenders. And now I'm just hoping for a Padres-Dodgers playoff matchup. That there might not be anything else better than that for me now living here.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jared, I'm with you on that too. And you might be thinking, oh, why would you want to play a great team in the playoff? Well, guys, I like the entertainment value of stuff, and it also feels better when you beat good teams to win championships. It does. So if the Dodgers end up going through the Padres, and if they end up going through the Yankees, and they end up going through the Astros, or whoever they have to do to win it, it's going to feel better. If you go and have these, we've talked about this with the NBA before, these runs where teams' players get hurt and all that stuff, and then it doesn't feel as good. So yeah, I want to see Dodgers Padres. Now, Jared, you're saying record a podcast and stuff like that. I'm not sure I'm 100% welcome down there with what I'm going to be wearing to games and what I'm going to be talking about.
Not if you wear that jersey. Not if you wear that.
Yeah.
If you just
come a lot of
like a
people
normal
wear this
fan
jersey at Petco Park.
They do. I'm just saying you're not going to get the most warm welcome, right? I'm going to have to be there with my hat, with my shirt, and I'm going to have to kind of ease the tension a little bit. But you know what? It'll actually be good because it'll be like good cop, bad cop, and everyone's going to boo you, and they're going to hate you, and they're going to love me. So actually, go ahead, screw it. Wear all your Dodgers stuff, and I'm just going to get more of the attention. So yeah, that works for me.
You guys should have seen that Cardinals-Rams game, man. Oh my goodness. Talk about not being welcome. And then your team getting their ass kicked. Yeah, I've experienced it before, Jared. It can't be much worse than that. It really can't. All right, well, so, Jared, so now we see Soto get traded. Multiple other trades happen. Like you mentioned, the Dodgers don't really do anything. They add Joey Gallo, who obviously was playing the worst you possibly could for the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
What
can I explain? What are the Dodgers doing? Like, why take on Joey Gallo? Like,
okay, I'll explain to you what the Dodgers are doing, and this will transition into kind of our prediction for the rest of the season because now the rosters are set, everything's good to go, right? The reason the Dodgers didn't do anything yesterday, number one, they did try to get Juan Soto the last 2 days. Tried or drove the price up for the Padres, which in a sense is competing still, right? That's the rumor, is that they just kind of kept the Dodgers kept throwing out prospects, so they didn't really want to trade, and just to make the Padres give up everybody essentially.
That's kind of smart.
Which I love too. I love that. But the reason the Dodgers didn't do anything is because number one, they have the best record in the MLB, I believe, or at least number two behind the Yankees. They are stacked, and they're one of their best players, and potentially their best pitcher is coming back. So they don't need to acquire. He's just injured. Walker Buehler is who I'm talking about. They don't need to go get anybody. This team already wins every night, and they're going to get Walker Buehler. They're going to get a couple relievers back in Tommy Kahnle. Dustin May is coming back as well. And then Chris Taylor is also going to come back. Justin Turner, I think, is on the 10-day DL. So this team, yes, I think they kicked the tires on some relievers after they realized they weren't going to get Soto. But they didn't need to get anybody. The reason they got Joey Gallo is because it's low risk, high reward. The dude was in the position of these top prospects that the Padres just gave up. He was a top 5 MLB prospect at one point. So you could see the tools. Those tools are still there. He's just been exposed in Texas, in New York, who have questionable hitting history the last couple of years, right? Besides Aaron Judge hitting 60 home runs, those teams have been very inconsistent. Texas has been a bad team, and the Yankees have been extremely inconsistent and have not lived up to their potential. Who has lived up to their potential and who creates the most out of guys that just are not good on other teams is the Los Angeles Dodgers. So what I see happening here is they treat him with kid gloves, right? And they slowly try to return Joey Gallo to what he was when he was in the home run derby last year and what he has been in a few seasons where he turns into a 40 home run guy. If the Dodgers are willing to put Max Muncy in a damn lineup right now, I'm okay with Joey Gallo being in a lineup. He'll be patient. They'll teach him the Dodger way, which I think is the best way to hit. Letting counts go deep, hitting your pitch. That's not what the Yankees preach. And that's not what the Texas Rangers preach. So it's a low risk, high reward pickup. They need extra outfield depth defensively because Gavin Lux is horrible defensively in the outfield. Chris Taylor is hurt right now. And then, of course, you have Bellinger and Betts, who are like premier outfielders. But that left field spot right now is not very good in LA defensively. So the worst thing that happens out of this, Jared, is Gallo goes up there a couple games. He bats 2 or 3 times. And then when the lefty matchup comes in, you have a right-handed hitter like Trace Thompson come in and hit for him, or Chris Taylor, or these other guys, right? So very low risk, high reward pickup. But the reason the Dodgers didn't get anybody is because they're still better than everybody. They don't need to get anybody. Okay. They have 4 pitchers with ERAs below 3. And Walker Buehler's not one of them. He's on the IL. So, you're looking at potentially the best pitching staff ever. They don't need to get anybody. So that's why. Now turning to the rest of the teams, right? You have the Yankees made a lot of moves. Frankie Montas. They went out and got hitters. Guys that are going to be clutch to this team coming into the playoff race. The Houston Astros added guys. They have one of the best records in the league. And then, of course, you have the Padres and Dodgers. Jerry, what do you see happening? Who is your front runner right now as like your World Series team? Who do you think has it all? When you look at them, if they can get the healthiest they can be, who is your team? And why? Explain why as well.
Well, as a new San Diego Padres fan here, no, listen, your argument for the Dodgers and why they didn't need to go out and give away assets to get anyone back because they have their own players coming off injury and still having tied for no, they do have the best record in all of Major League Baseball right now with 70 wins, only 33 losses, you're absolutely right. I think right now they're at the mountaintop and they don't look to be coming down anytime soon. And so I have to put the Dodgers there, at least in the NL. The Mets are one of those teams that, like, yes, they are very good. But they get DeGrom back, right? I believe he just made his first start recently.
Last night,
right?
Yeah.
But when was the last time we really took Mets seriously? And this is coming from a, not as much of a baseball fan as you, but someone who still watches from somewhat of afar. Like, do we really trust the Mets? I don't. Like, the Mets aren't really in contention year after year, competitive like they are this year. And so to me, I would actually put the Braves and the Padres above the Mets, at least in the NL, for next contending teams after the Dodgers, right? I think it would be, if I had to pick an order, it would be the Dodgers, the Padres, the Braves, and then the Mets as the 4 teams in the NL that have the best or most legitimate chances to win in that particular order. Like I said, to me, even though I think the Mets have really good pitching and all around they're a good team, I can't go and name their best hitters or name their players right now, but I just simply don't trust them because to me, they're just not consistent enough. Like, yeah, they have a good year and then they have a couple injuries and then they slide. Yeah. So until I see them be more consistent, right, and stay healthy, then I'm putting the Padres and the Braves ahead of them. I'm sure you can elaborate a little bit more or say why I'm an idiot and why the Mets maybe should be the number 1 team besides Dodgers.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think it does go Dodgers, Padres. I would put the Mets third ahead of Atlanta. And the only reason with that is because the Mets have, okay, we can agree on this at least. The Mets have been consistently have had amazing pitching. They just have not had the hitting the last few years. When you look at like what was wrong with Jacob deGrom, it wasn't anything. It was that the teams didn't score. Like, he literally had the worst run support in the history of baseball at certain points. Now that honor goes to Shohei Ohtani when he pitches for the Angels. But Jacob deGrom, just the Mets didn't hit for him. So I think now that they actually have solid hitting, it does put them above a team like Atlanta, because Atlanta has the hitting, but they don't have as good a pitching as New York does. And they are on the World Series high, and it's hard to win World Series back-to-back, right? So I would do Dodgers, Padres, Mets, Braves, only for the reason of the pitching. And when you do look at the history of the Mets, they've always had the pitching. They still have the pitching, and now they have the hitting. So, Francisco Lindor's having a great season. Pete Alonso's doing his thing. Jeff McNeil's doing his thing. So it's a great, it's a great team. All four of those teams, though, I mean, legitimately a shot to win the World Series. Dodgers, Padres, Mets, more so, I think, than Atlanta. I think Atlanta is a clear fourth for me. But Jesus Christ, man, the National League. I mean, you're looking at the NFC West, right? Like, you're looking at the NFC or I guess the AFC right now in the NFL as far as the playoffs go. Like, it's going to be just entertaining. And you really don't know who's going to win once you get in the series, and it's going to be game by game to see who wins. Dodgers have everybody. Padres now have everybody. They just have a little bit less than the Dodgers. And then, you have the Mets, very solid team in Atlanta. In the AL, I think it's a two-team race realistically between New York and Houston. They're clearly better than everybody else. That's no disrespect to Toronto, who's an amazing team. I don't think they did enough, though, at the deadline this year. I think they should have gone out and got a Carlos Rodon. They should have got another pitcher, because I think they have the hitting. Their thing is more the pitching. They are a young team, though. But I do think it's Houston and New York. And I'm going to give it to New York. I think New York, it's their year. Judge is hitting out of his mind. He's hitting like the best player since Barry Bonds, legitimately, and without steroids. So you can't say anything about that. Stanton's had a resurgence year. He had a big home run in the All-Star game when I was there. And he's consistently doing it this year. He's on the IL, unfortunately, right now. But and when you look at their pitching staff, it's unreal too. You have Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole had a horrible start today. But you have Garrett Cole. You have Frankie Montas now. You have Nestor Cortez Jr., the funky windup. He's had almost a Cy Young season this year. You get Luis Severino back potentially, multiple other guys in that staff. I think the Yankees have it's their year this year from the AL. But Jared, you come on. I mean, this is who the best team in the league is.
Listen,
okay? There's nothing wrong with it.
To see an LA New York Road Series, and I mentioned this before. I think I said this last year. Like, I'd love to see that. Right? You have two major cities, the histories, and to see. I don't know if the Yankees and Dodgers have they played.
Well, for sure. Back in like the Reggie Jackson days, there was a couple times where they were playing the Dodgers. No doubt.
But we haven't really seen it in our lifetime and or recently at all. So for me, that would be. I want to touch on something with the Blue Jays, though, right? How can the Blue Jays be in contention, be third in the entire AL, and yet fire their manager less than a month ago? Like what that right there for me. Yeah, I don't care what their record is. That it seems like there's some tension or something going on. How do you fire your manager when you have a winning record, right? You may be 10 whatever games below the Yankees in the AL, but you got 58 wins. Like, what happened there? That to me is already a disaster, and why I don't trust Toronto at all.
Yeah, no, and that's right. You look at like momentum. Obviously, the Padres have momentum. The Dodgers have momentum. The Yankees have momentum, right? Even the Mets. Toronto, yeah, how could you fire? Like, that's not what winning teams do. Now, if your team is bad, like we saw with the Nationals when they won the World Series, they were literally one of the worst teams in the league that season. They fired their manager. Dave Martinez comes in. They win the World Series. I saw that with my Los Angeles Kings as well back in the day. In 2012, they fired head coach in the middle of the season, and they hired Darryl Sutter, and they win the Stanley Cup. So it can work, but in this case, you're right, Jared. You're winning. You're a very solid team. Yes, you're behind the Yankees, but they're having an all-time year this year. It's not like they're gonna, once you get in the playoffs, it's 5-7 games, right? It's not. It doesn't turn into like, 20 games where, okay, yeah, probably Yankees are winning the series, right? You could just win a couple of games and there you go, right? So yeah, I don't like that either, and then they don't make a move at the deadline either. So yeah, I think that's why I have Astros, Yankees. I have those two teams though for the AL, because I don't think you said AL earlier.
No.
Who do you think the better team is?
Oh, Yankees,
those two.
all day long. All day long. And as still somewhat of an Angels fan, I will never ever root for the Astros ever again. Not that I ever.
Yeah,
have.
no, for sure. Yeah,
but
they suck.
there's just the Astros. I wish they were the worst team in the league. I wish they were the Washington Nationals this year and traded away all their good players. I just no. I will never root for Houston. Yes, they still have a good team and they are dangerous. And they have been the epitome of legitimate success and not only the AL but the AL West for the last 5, 6, 7 years. But no, I think the Yankees, top to bottom, when they are completely healthy, are the better team and should win a series against Houston. Now, I can't guarantee that they would, but the Yankees should beat Houston in a 7-game series.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's 100% true. And I mean, when you look at both rosters, I think the Yankees do have better pitching on paper. Astros do have good pitching though. But a lot of guys kind of unproven in the playoffs realistically, and that's what I'm going to go with. You have the Garrett Coles. You have the, Frankie Montas isn't playoff. He's not used to playoffs either, but it's a little different. And Houston, you just, right, like they can't win. They have still a lot of the same players. Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman. I love Yordan Alvarez. Okay, that guy had nothing to do with that stuff back in the day. He wasn't on the rosters, so I'm a big Yordan Alvarez fan. But besides that, yeah, everybody else can kiss my ass on that team. And Trey Mancini. Trey Mancini just got traded from the Orioles, a cancer survivor. Again, why the Astros you have to go to, but no, they had no choice in it. So those are the two guys in the Astros I still do like and respect. But yeah, maybe a little bias on that pick. But yeah, I'm gonna go Yankees still. I think they're just. So I think we've
established Dodgers, Yankees, World Series. Clearly, the top two teams in their respective divisions. And I think what would make for an amazing World Series and one of the most competitive World Series, right? I think you can probably throw the Padres in there because of the Juan Soto trade, but in reality, top to bottom, Dodgers, Yankees have the two best, most complete rosters. And if we were to get that World Series, those two major cities, those two histories and franchises, I don't think anyone, baseball fan or not, could really be mad about that.
No, true. And if you get somehow a San Diego, New York World Series, that's the only time the Padres have been in the World Series. It was against the Yankees. So you'd have kind of a historic thing there. And of course, if somehow it ends up being Astros Dodgers, obviously they would get the chance to avenge what happened in 2017, which I think all of us would love to do. And it would kind of almost put a bookend to that whole thing too. So yeah, very, very fun matchups the rest of the season. Jared, I'm going to finish off this segment by getting your opinion on this. Shohei Ohtani. There was rumors that the Angels were going to potentially trade him. I think it was more media created than anything. We heard ownership didn't want to trade him. I do believe the Yankees did actually put an offer in for him, but Shohei Ohtani doesn't get traded. He's going to be on the Angels for the next, the rest of this year and at least next year. What is your take on the Angels and Shohei Ohtani? What needs to happen? Your opinion.
Shohei Ohtani. Listen, if you're the Angels, you can't trade him. You simply can't. Now, I do not have 1 ounce of faith in the Angels management from top to bottom when it comes to ownership or, management. Listen, Mike Trout is injured right now. When healthy, he is still arguably the best player in the league, ahead of Juan Soto.
That's true.
Right? They're probably 1A, 1B. But right now he's injured, and he was injured for most of last year. And unfortunately, he is what is being determined as a rare back injury, right? Something to do with his L5, and he's trying to manage it, and he kind of tempered some of the noise when he came out in an interview and said that he hopes to play again this season. But the fact that the Angels aren't really in contention, do you really even want to put him out there again and risk further injury? So if you're the Angels, like, this is what the Angels try to do, is put butts in seats, right? I just mentioned I went to the game on Sunday and they had like half capacity. Guess what? The majority of those fans were there for Shohei Ohtani. When Shohei Ohtani came up to bat,
My God, but yeah,
it
saw last night.
The crowd and the applause and the reaction was as if the stadium was full. Almost every other batter that came up, it was kind of like, all right, yeah, you want to go get another beer?
Who's this guy?
I got a bat. I'm going to go to the bathroom, right? I'll be back. But when Shohei comes up, it's like all eyes are on him. And so if you're the Angels, you can't let that player, two-way player who we haven't seen since Babe Ruth, go. And if the Angels were to somehow be stupid and trade him, they would have to get more than what the Nationals got for Juan Soto, because Shohei can hit just as well, and he also is a great pitcher, right? And so to me, I think, listen, if you're Mike Trout, I think you kind of have to take this into somewhat of your own hands, right? His loyalty, and I've talked about this before on previous podcast episodes, to where the Angels got extremely lucky with Mike Trout. Mike Trout could have very easily said, hey, you know what? I don't see this team going in the right direction. My contract's coming up. I'm going to do what Juan Soto did and not accept an extension. I'm going to play out my contract, and I'm going to force you guys to trade me, or I'm just going to leave and be a complete free agent, right? No, he was loyal because the Angels drafted him and brought him up, and he chose to stay. And so I think one of the only ways that Shohei Ohtani chooses to stay on his own account, is if Mike Trout is in his ear and saying, hey man, you and I are two of the best players in all of baseball. Let's build this team back together, right? Let's get some other free agents in here. It's Southern California. It's sunny. One of the best ballparks as far as the grass and the infield and all that stuff goes. And from what other players have said before, let's build this ourselves, right? Because at this point, I don't think you can trust management. If I'm Shohei and if I'm his management team, I'm probably saying, hey man, like, let's get out of here. Let's go, right? Like we don't have really, the Angels, signed into the contract, but I don't think he really has much loyalty to the Angels himself. It would really have to take Mike Trout, in my opinion, another superstar, to get in his ear and say, hey man, let's build this thing together, right? Like let's stay locked in. That would be the only way, if I'm Shohei, that I'm staying, because other than that, the Angels haven't done jack. Like I said, all they want to do is get butts in seats. They don't care about actually winning. If they did, then they would go out and actually get legitimate pitching to complement their somewhat good hitting. Like, they're not a horrible team. They just don't necessarily know how to build somewhat of a complete roster, right? They want to get Josh Hamilton. They want to get Pujols after his prime. They want to pay these guys all this money to potentially hit home runs, but yet you give up 5, 6, 7 runs a game. So, like I said, if I'm Shohei, I seriously have to weigh my options and say, what is more important, right? Do I trust that this team is going to actually turn it around and start winning and do the necessary things? Or, maybe they can offer me more money than any other club, but is money the most important thing, or is it winning? Because if it's winning, I think we all know the answer. He's gone, right? If he's willing to wait and probably have another year or two of mediocrity, yeah, sure, I think they can maybe turn it around. I don't have trust in it. Watching the Angels since I can remember, they just have not been a team that is willing to do whatever it is necessary to win on the field. They want to win in the stands. They want to win at the concessions. They want to win in money. They don't necessarily want to win at actually winning, actually playing the game and winning.
Jared, I used to work for the company that does concessions at the Angel game, and yes, they nickel and dime everybody. Last night I went to the game. Like I said, I went to go buy a drink at the game because I was sick of the beers. Right, they were hurting my stomach at this point. I went to go buy a drink at the game, and I said, "How much is the single shot? How much is the double shot?" The double shot was getting upwards. This is 3 drinks, mind you, upwards, costing $70 for 3 drinks. $70. Okay? So They nickel and dime. And like, you're making a very good point about the concessions thing and putting butts in seats, because if you look at, and I think this is why Artie Moreno's like, no way. No way we're trading this guy. Look at all the ads at Angel games. It's all Japanese. Half of it you can't even read if you don't speak Japanese. Okay? When you look at the Mariners, right? When they had Ichiro Suzuki, how many times have they made the playoffs with Ichiro?
Once, twice.
It was once. It was once, and it was in his rookie season. He had nothing to do with it. Okay? They didn't make the playoffs, and they still haven't until this year, most likely. I mean, they'll make the playoffs this year. But so they still haven't made the playoffs. They had Ichiro all those years. You know why? Because he brought in the Japanese stuff. It's one of the few stadiums in the United States that sells sushi. But literally because of Ichiro. Now they signed a bunch of other Japanese guys as well, and they kind of dove into that market, right? And again, didn't win shit. So yeah, Shohei. You made so many good points. Like, there's nothing much for me to say realistically, but like, Shohei, he would be best inclined to go somewhere else if the Angels aren't committed to winning, like you're saying, because his value and the sponsorships and the merchandise is going to sell better in New York, in Philadelphia, even Texas, the Dodgers, right? Los Angeles, and people don't watch the 7:00 games for Angels. Okay. People have trouble watching the Dodgers and Padres. Now, I think that's going to change a little bit this year, but still, so yeah, he really does need to look at that. And I think for the Angels' sake, if you're thinking about trading Ohtani, trade Trout too, and just start the whole thing over. I get that Trout's loyal, but there's no reason to have Mike Trout if you're not winning. And Mike Trout has not caused the Angels to be a World Series championship team as well. So it's a match that's not working out right now. And yeah, Jerry, it almost needs to come ahead this offseason and be like, well, okay, Mike Trout has a long contract. Shohei, you're a free agent after this upcoming season.
Here's what I'll say to wrap this up, because we've got to move on
Sure.
to the NFL. If the Angels are smart, and if I'm Artie Moreno, I'm not saying Shohei and his representatives and team would do this. I go to Shohei with a contract extension right now. Because the longer you wait,
I agree.
And this is in any sport, this is in any kind of negotiation. The longer you wait and the more the years pass, irregardless, hopefully, like I said, knock on wood again, Shohei doesn't get injured, he stays healthy, he continues to be a beast, pitching and hitting. His number is only going to go up. Right now, I will say Artie Moreno and the Angels don't have a problem paying guys, so I don't think money is necessarily a factor. But if you wait another year or two, his price tag is going to go up. So if you come to him with a contract right now, like I said, not saying that he's going to accept it, and if I was his team, I would advise him not to. But why not come to him with a contract right now and say, hey, man, we want to lock you up. We don't even want it to get to where you have less than a year in your contract, and we're having to really come down to the wire. Like, I would sign him right now, lock him into a 10-year deal, whatever Juan Soto is going to get, just add another zero on it, or give him at least $500 million, $500 million, whatever it is, and lock him up right now, right? That's what I would do if I was the Angels, is at least come to the table with a contract and get those negotiations started. Not saying that they haven't. It's just, you wait longer, you're going to end up paying more, and then there's more of an opportunity that you probably aren't that good of a team next year, right? You might do the same thing. They always start out well, and then they fizzle out. And then Shohei is just going to have more of a reason to leave. So,
oh my God, dude,
get him signed now.
Yeah, like you say, you moved out of Orange County. I'm still here. We're looking at potentially the Angels being absolutely horrid unless something happens for the next 10 years. Legit. Now, like you said, we got to move on to the NFL. Last thing. What's the number? What's the number? What would you give him?
550.
I think it's 60. I think it's
600.
I think because obviously you look 550. What I would do with your 550, 11 years, $50 million a year, at least.
Yeah.
He pitches and hits. Yeah. Because Trout makes 40 something, right? Low 40s. You have to give Shohei that 50. I think 50 is the number. Juan Soto wanted a certain number to stay loyal and to lose. I think Shohei is going to be like, you want me to lose? give me 50. Right? Steph Curry's making 50. Giannis Antetokounmpo is making 50. And those guys, those guys make the NBA more popular. They're big on social media. I think Shohei could become that too. But and then they also need
they
need the sushi. They need the sushi in the right field corner too. Okay.
I'm in Shohei's corner. Whatever he demands, he probably deserves. Right? If it's in the 4s or the 5 or low 5s, it's probably not enough. Sure, 600. Yeah. Sure, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I don't think the Angels have a problem spending money. They have a problem allocating their resources to get quality players all around their team. They just want to get hitters. They don't want to get decent pitching. They don't want to get good relievers and guys that come in and close the game. So,
well, no, it's I think it's mainly ownership that does this. They're idiotic in their thought process when it's coming to free agents a lot. Albert Pujols was a horrendous deal. Okay, at the time it was only $25 million. Now it was $25 million a year, but at the time that was crazy for a guy that was old and fat and slow. Okay, no disrespect to one of the best baseball players of all time, and realistically, without steroids, would be like one of the home run king guys at this point. Bonds, McGuire, all those guys did steroids and did better. Josh Hamilton is a drug addict. Okay, he signed a drug addict to $30 million a year, didn't do shit. Anthony Rendon, they signed because Artie Moreno's ego was hurt that Garrett Cole said, I'm from Orange, which is 5-10 minutes away from Angel Stadium. I'm gonna go play in New York. So he signed Rendon because he felt like he needed to do something. He needed to stroke his ego. So yeah, this would not be that. We know how good Shohei is. He's on the team. Fans love him. I love him. He's my favorite player in the MLB right now. Okay. My girlfriend loves him. Not sure what I think about that, but still, my girlfriend doesn't really care about baseball. She loves Shohei. She made me videotape every one of his at-bats last night. Okay. So, I think it's 50 long-term, 60 short-term. That's what I would do.
Whatever it takes.
Done.
Get it done.
Let's do it. All right. Let's move to the NFL. These are going to be some fun topics to talk about because I think it's going to be a lot of shitting on the NFL and a lot of, we'll just continue the shit fest here. We talk shit on the Angels and now we're going to go into the NFL. Like you mentioned, Jared, when the podcast started, this came down about an hour or two ago. Deshaun Watson, we all know, 6-game suspension. Okay. For allegedly SAing 30 women. We can't say the word on YouTube because YouTube sucks. Okay, so you know what SAing means. That's what the allegations are, right? 30. Civil suits, 6 games. Same as DeAndre Hopkins and about, 20 less than Calvin Ridley for playing a little DraftKings during the season. We'll give our opinions on that in a second. But the NFL has now chosen to appeal, which means it will be longer. So good on the NFL for doing that. Originally, the rumor was they wanted a year. Okay. That's also what I wanted as well. Trevor Bauer in the MLB got 2 for essaying one person. Okay. Jared, your thought process on this whole Deshaun Watson thing. Now we have the suspension. Since the NFL is appealing, what would you like to happen here? What would you like the number to be? We'll play the numbers game. We'll continue to play it.
Right before I say a number, and
sure.
You're right.
No, give your take.
No. There's one phrase that comes to mind in this entire process, from Deshaun Watson himself to the Houston Texans to the allegations to the legal process to the disciplinary officer to Roger Goodell. Shit show. Absolute shit show. And you want to know the reason? Because there is really no structure. And you mentioned it, and I don't necessarily want to lead off with this, but I feel almost that we have to. How can a player, face of a franchise at the time when he was with the Houston Texans, now with the Cleveland Browns, who has since signed a record $230 million contract, guaranteed, right? He's going to get the majority of that money, whether he plays this year, if he's suspended half the game, he's suspended for the full year. It doesn't matter. He's going to get his money at some point. How can this player that has, like you mentioned, SA'd at least, the allegations were that he SA'd at least 30 women, right? There has been due diligence, supposedly. There has been outside resources that have come in to investigate this. And within those investigations, I believe 15 or 16 page documented report comes back, and Deshaun Watson gets 6 games. When athletes in the NFL that get caught for smoking weed, we're getting 4 to 6 games. When, like you mentioned, Calvin Ridley, right, had a little gambling going on, and he got a full season. Yeah. There is no, discipline starting from the top. It's just kind of like Roger Goodell sitting in his bunker, sitting in his comfy ass chair, making his $50 million a year, going back and forth on his private jet, just saying, let's give this guy, I don't know, let's give him 6 games, let's give him 4 games. You want to know my real opinion? I don't think Roger Goodell really cared about appealing. You want to know why I think the
100%. Yeah, I agree.
Was for the look, because everyone else in America knows that something happened between Deshaun Watson and these alleged accusers, women, right? We don't know exactly what, but something had to have happened. And I think if they wouldn't have appealed, it would have been complete uproar, right? And then you're talking about losing money from ticket sales, people showing up to games, all that stuff, the complete outrage. And so to me, while I'm glad that the NFL did it, I don't know that they did it for the right reasons. I think that the NFL appealed because of the pressure that they felt from everyone else. And because here's the thing, and I'm going to let you speak on this a little bit more. As a Dallas Cowboys fan, I remember, I think it was 2017, I forget the exact year, when Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
He had allegations of SAing a woman, right? And I forget what his initial suspension was. It was then appealed. Ezekiel Elliott was eligible because of that appeal to play for the first half of the season. And then he was suspended, I believe, mid to late season, right? So what's happening now with this appeal by the NFL that is in effect is that opens the door for Deshaun Watson to be able to play at least the beginning of the year. Because beforehand, with no appeal, it would have been 6 games, done. And I'm not saying that's right. But now Deshaun Watson and his team, his legal team, can basically draw this out. And like I said, Deshaun Watson can potentially be on the field for week 1 and maybe half the season. Who knows? There's so much more to be determined. But I think this is a complete shit show because of the lack of awareness and the lack of structure when it comes to punishments. The punishments are not fair, depending on what you do and what the severity of it was. And like I said, it's just, oh, you know what? This guy should get this. This guy should get this. It should be clearly in writing from the NFLPA, the Players Association, that says, if a player does this, this is the consequence. Right now, I will say that this is an unprecedented type of legal action that's being taken against Deshaun Watson. Right? We have unfortunately seen plenty of athletes, not just in the NFL, that have dealt with these allegations. But I don't know, at least not in my time, do I remember 30 women coming forward with these allegations. So we are in somewhat uncharted territory. But to me, I don't see any structure to where, okay, there's a reason why this is 6 games. There's a reason why there's an outside disciplinarian and Sue Robinson having to come in and deal with this matter when the NFL supposedly has all the investigators in the world. They investigate everything else.
Yeah.
So they're going to bring in an outside source who they paid, let that person make a decision, and now they're going to appeal that decision that they paid to come in. It doesn't make sense to me. Please make some of this make sense.
Yeah, no. Okay, here I didn't mean to say no. You're 100% correct on it. Roger Goodell does not want to be judge, jury, clearly, because he sucks at it. The guy's horrible, like you mentioned. Ezekiel Elliott, accused of one SA. What was it? How many games did you say again? Was it 4, 6?
I forget if it got 4 or 6, but it was midway through later in the season because of the appeal.
Significant amount of games, though. So Watson, 36? Does that make any sense? How does that make any sense at all? So just throw that out there. Makes no sense. Logically, as a human being, I don't understand. But Roger Goodell does not want to be judge, jury, executioner, right? So he hires this other lady. And yeah, you're right. He appealed because his ego's hurt, right? He doesn't want to look bad. So there's a fly right in front of me. Roger Goodell's a pussy, man. It's essentially what this is. Okay, like the guy sits there, like you said, he's in $50 million. He sits there, he doesn't do anything. Players are dying from concussions. There's multiple stupid things going on every single season with these guys, and nothing's changing, right? Obviously, there's 53 men on the roster. It's tough. There's a lot of guys to look at, but still, there's a lot of negative light on the NFL all the time. You have the whole Colin Kaepernick kneeling stuff. It's the guy's a pussy. Like he's there. You know what? You know what he reminds me of, Jared? You seen the movie Casino?
Right?
Oh yeah. You know that guy they put in the office to be the head of the casino? That's just like they just bully him around. They just tell him what to do. That's what Roger Goodell is.
He's the puppet.
Yeah, that's what Roger Goodell is to the owners and everybody else, outside the NFL that's more powerful. It's just, I don't know. To be quite frank, Watson should never be able to play in the NFL again. I mean, that realistically is what should have happened here. The only two other guys, like you say, it's unprecedented. I can't think of any of anybody else in football or in sports that's done this. There's two other people, though, that I know have done stuff like this. And when they were accused, they left their post. That's Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein. There's the only two other guys I can think of with this many allegations. It's just the guy should never be able to play. Should he be suspended? Well, 100%. And I think it should be at least a year. Because here's the other thing, Jared. When you look at civil cases happen most of the time because someone's guilty. And the trial, the jury trial didn't go their way. We're all reminded of O.J. Simpson, right? O.J. Simpson's trial doesn't go, it goes O.J.'s way. Civil trial, the exact opposite. Because we all knew he was guilty. Okay, think what you want about that whole thing, but come on, guys. So, Watson's settling. He's still got one civil trial going right now actively. Dude, the guy's guilty, like, of something, right? He's got to get punished for at least a year. And realistically, in my opinion, should never play in the NFL again. Like, I'm not going to cheer for Deshaun Watson ever again. I don't want to bet on him. It would be nice to win money because of him, but like, still, it would feel bad, feel dirty. The other thing is the whole thing about the massagers and all that stuff. Like, he's clearly got an angle of something that he's doing too. It's not random women all over the place latching on. It's the same exact type of women. If you go in and you're known as like a bad tipper, it's a bunch of servers saying that, right? Maybe you're a great human being everywhere else, but if you're a bad tipper, you're gonna have the same people saying, "Oh, this is what this guy does. He's an asshole because of this." So yeah, Deshaun Watson's guilty of something. He's in unprecedented territory as far as an athlete goes. And I put him up there in the top 5 of just bad human beings with the SA stuff. And I only can think of those top names, those executives for NBC and CBS and all that stuff too, like Matt Lauer and all, So, Jared, I think it's at least a year, but in my true opinion, I don't think he should ever play again.
I agree with you 100%. And here's another thing that I'll say, because we could talk about this for a long time. We can go down the line. I have multiple topics that I feel should be discussed and should be talked about, especially on this podcast. But, the Cleveland Browns,
dude. Right
in the middle of August. Now, obviously, before this process came down, before the 6-game suspension, way before, Cleveland Browns ended up getting Deshaun Watson, right? While all this investigation was still going on. And that, to me, is another sign of the lack of structure going on. Roger Goodell and the NFL could have very easily told every team in the league, including the Houston Texans, you are not allowed to trade for this player. And the Houston Texans, you are not allowed to trade this player until a final verdict or until this off-the-field situation gets resolved 100%. Deshaun Watson is not allowed to do anything. He's not collecting a paycheck. He's not stepping foot on the field. He's not allowed to go to meetings, show up to practice, anything. Right, Deshaun Watson, you are, as of right now, not a part of the NFL. Right? Yeah. You are on the there's a list. I forget. It's like I forget what it is. But there's a way that Roger Goodell could have put Deshaun Watson basically on like the no touch list to where he's stuck until
that's what the MLB
process.
did. That's what the MLB did with Trevor Bauer. Sorry to interrupt, but this is exactly what they did. Yeah, it was a restricted list. But yeah, go on. Go on.
But he didn't do that.
Oh.
And guess what? The Houston Texans are sitting here saying, well, we still got a team to run. And all the other 31 teams in the league are saying, we still got a team to run. And Deshaun Watson is technically available. So I obviously do not agree with what the Browns did. But the NFL is a win now business. What have you done for me lately? It doesn't matter. They don't care, obviously. Right? The Cleveland Browns organization, along with the Houston Texans organization, to be frank, does not care about what Deshaun Watson did off the field. They care about how old are you? Are you still effective on the field? They gave him $230 million.
Yeah, dude.
$230 million while a guy was in the middle of an investigation for alleged essays of multiple women, up to 30. And you give a guy $230 million, most of it guaranteed. That right there should tell you what the Cleveland Browns and what the rest of the NFL thinks about these situations that happen off the field. Because as long as you can still produce on the field, you still have an opportunity to play. Now, Deshaun Watson was 40 at the end of his career, past his prime. Maybe no one trades for him. Maybe he's not in the Cleveland Browns today. But he is right down in the middle of his prime when it comes to an athlete. And so, therefore, that automatically gives him another chance. When in reality, Deshaun Watson should never have another chance in the NFL. It should be really that simple, right? So, irregardless of if Deshaun Watson, if this suspension of 6 games stays upheld, if it's more, whatever it is, Deshaun Watson is going to get the majority of his money. And in a year, Deshaun Watson will be playing starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. If I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, I don't know how to react. Like, how can you root for the organization?
Yeah. No, I mean, I legitimately, Jared, if the Cardinals had picked up Deshaun Watson, which is not realistic because obviously we have Kyler Murray, but like if they would have picked up Deshaun Watson, I would now not be a Cardinals fan anymore. I would be like, I'm going to go and pick another team, and that's the team I'm going to cheer for. And I'm not a Cardinals fan unless the ownership that grabbed Deshaun Watson is gone. The GM that grabbed Deshaun Watson is gone. And Deshaun Watson is gone. That's the only way I would become a fan of the Cardinals again. That's it. Because again, I don't think that a serial essayer should be allowed to play in the NFL. And I mean, he should be in jail. Like, the dude potentially should be in jail. And we're talking about him. Here's $200 million. Like, I don't know, does he have kids? Like, does this guy have kids? I don't know if he does.
I don't think so.
Okay, perfect, of course.
You know what he does have, or what he did have, was he had kids that looked up to him. Keywords that did look up to him, right? He not only had a fan base that believed in him from his days at Clemson to getting into the NFL with the Houston Texans. He had a lot of people that looked up to him, right? You don't get put in that position without being on a major pedestal with a major platform, and he has completely ruined it. And we have seen this before with other players. And like I said, I don't know if it's because he's a quarterback. I don't know who, obviously Cleveland is, but I don't know who else is vouching for him. But he has some strong people in his corner that are clearly willing to bet on him in the NFL again. And it's sad to see, because at the end of the day, the NFL does not care about what you do off the field. As long as you can still produce on the field, you're a commodity. The moment that you cannot, whether it is injury, whether it is legal, whether it is off the field, whatever it is, they will cut you and not look back twice. But if you can still produce, and by produce, I mean make money for the NFL. I'm not talking about winning games. I'm not talking about throwing a pass or throwing a touchdown. I'm talking about making money for the NFL. Because on the field, strictly as an athlete, nothing to do with off the field issues or anything. Yes, Deshaun Watson is a great athlete. He's a great football player. He's a great quarterback. He puts fans in the stands, right? Sells jerseys, all that stuff. He makes the NFL money. And that is why he is currently a member of the Cleveland Browns, because he makes the NFL money. He makes the 32 owners more money than they would have if Deshaun Watson was not on an NFL roster.
100%. And again, the 32 owners have their whipping boy Roger Goodell not take power in this, because again, Roger Goodell could have just said, "Oh no, yeah, Watson, you're never playing again." But instead, he pussies out of it, and he goes and says, "Oh, we're going to have this female judge come in and do this." So if the female says 6 games, right? We see this in politics all the time, right? They use people to get things over. And then that, like you said, that creates the mindset that this is okay. And then you have idiots like this asking Watson for autographs, because we're trained to be in this mindset. Oh, if he only got suspended 6 games, that must have meant he didn't do anything. Well, why did he get suspended in the first place? It wasn't because he had the smallest ounce of drug in him, and then he can't play 6 games like or DeAndre Hopkins, right? It's just ridiculous. We should probably move on, because we're just gonna keep hating the NFL. And Dirt, I like the NFL. Okay, I like football. I like the stuff on the field. So let's move on, and let's move on to not an equal story, but another owner and another high level person in the NFL being a complete moron. The Dolphins yesterday came down right in the middle of all the Juan Soto stuff. So it got lost in translation a little bit amongst general sports fans, especially myself. The Dolphins owner is suspended. They lost a first-round pick in next year's draft, another draft pick, and I believe they were fined too. Jared, this is all because they tampered multiple times, all that stuff. The rumor is Tom Brady, right? I think there was I cannot think off the top of my head right now who the other player was that they tried to bring in. But your thoughts? We obviously have heard Brian Flores. He came out with this whole thing, So your thoughts, Dolphins? You said this you said it perfectly on Twitter too, but give to the people what you kind of said on Twitter about this whole situation. Give your take on it.
Yeah. No. So first of all, before I even get into this Dolphins news, the NFL thinks it's slick. The NFL thinks they're really smart. They think they're really savvy. They think they can, hey, we're going to release this on this date. We're going to put this out there. The NFL thinks that they're smart by releasing information on certain days or at specific times, right? And I'm not even talking about Major League Baseball and the trade deadline and everything that happened with Juan Soto.
Sure.
Today is Wednesday, right? August 3rd. Okay. On Monday, just 2 days ago, is when this Deshaun Watson initial 6-game suspension came out, right? Obviously, everyone in the sports world was talking about it. Even if you weren't a sports fan, I'm sure you heard about it. The next day, Tuesday, which was yesterday, the NFL thing comes out with this Miami Dolphins news. You think that wasn't planned?
Yeah.
You think they were trying to say, all right, not that people are going to forget about the Deshaun Watson news, because obviously we've had more revelations today, but why didn't this Dolphins news come out last week? Or why didn't they wait to bring it? You know what I mean? Like, what took so long for them to come out with this news? And why does it have to come out a day after the Deshaun Watson news? Because they want people to not have Deshaun Watson on the front of their minds and not have the pressure of the NFL to either appeal or not appeal the 6-game suspension, right? They want the next news. right? Tomorrow, there's going to be something different that they don't want people thinking about the Miami Dolphins or Deshaun Watson, right? So this is all strategic tactics in order to get our minds constantly thinking, constantly going, so that we don't have time to sit here and actually explain, like we're doing on this podcast right now, why the NFL is so effed up. So after saying all that, yes, let's dive into this Miami Dolphins news. And if you don't know, the former Miami Dolphins head coach, Brian Flores, accused the organization and the owner specifically of basically tanking, and accused of being awarded money up to $100,000 per game to tank, to try to lose, not win, when the sole purpose of playing sports is to try to win, right? So after all the allegations, and I'm sure Nikki will get into a little bit more, I don't necessarily want to go into all of it. It comes out that the Miami Dolphins lose next year, 2023 first-round draft pick, which I totally applaud, right? I wish it would have been two first-round draft picks, but it's one, and then a 2024 third or fourth-round pick. So, more of a slap on the wrist when it comes to that initial pick. Ross, the Miami Dolphins owner, gets suspended for 6 games. And now this is where I kind of want to
come on, man. Yeah.
Nick, if you were the owner of a franchise, a multi-billion-dollar person, right? And you got suspended for however it is, 6 months, a year. You think that's really going to stop you from having any contact or communication whatsoever with the team that you own? You're going to let Roger Goodell and the NFL, the puppets that you get to move around in places, tell you that you can't communicate with your own team? Because by the rules, from what we've seen, when a player or a coach gets suspended, they're not allowed to have any communication with their teammates, with their coaches. They can't step foot into the building. They can't be there for practice. Not a zilch, nothing. And we think a multi-billion-dollar owner of a franchise is going to abide by the suspension rules and not have any contact with his team. Who cares if he can't be in his press box, or his suite watching Miami Dolphins home games or away games, when he can be in his multi-million-dollar mansion? Who cares? He's not a coach. He's not calling plays. He's not a player on the field legitimately affecting the outcome of a game. He's the owner that writes checks. So the 6-game suspension, where the 6 came from, I have no freaking idea. Why it wasn't a full year?
The big number in the NFL.
Apparently 6 is just the magic number.
Jesus.
And then the second part of this, and then I'm going to let you speak, is the $1.5 million fine that Ross now has to pay, which to me is another just laughable matter, because yes, to most people, to us, $1.5 million is a lot of money. That's going to change a lot of lives. To a multi-billion-dollar owner in Ross, $1.5 million is probably the equivalent to about $10. That is chump change. That will in absolutely no way affect his bottom line. Yeah, he lost $1.5 million. Dang, maybe he can't go buy his 15th house. Maybe he can't go buy a yacht, or maybe he can't take that crazy trip he wanted to. Well, he still can, right? But $1.5 million and a 6-game fine for an owner. Once again, there is no structure when it comes to punishment for not only players, not only coaches, but for owners as well. There is no precedent. There is no this. You do XYZ, you get punishment XYZ. It's all just like, I don't even know. It's sad to see, because a lot of things get manipulated. And I think if you're Ross, he came out and made a statement after these findings were revealed, and he basically said, yeah, this says that, I didn't do anything wrong. Like I'm kind of off the hook in a sense. He knows that a 6-game suspension and a $1.5 million fine is basically to him a slap on the wrist. I'll let you take over.
I mean, it's a lot to think about with this too, because one take I can kind of respect Stephen Ross for just not caring about the rules and being like, I want Tom Brady. This is what I want. Because, I mean, look what Tom Brady did with Tampa Bay. He won a Super Bowl in his first year there, second year there?
First.
First, yeah, exactly. I mean, I would potentially bend the rules to win a championship. So I respect.
If this is the only, fine and the only punishment I'm going to get, I'm bending the
100%.
rules way more than just that.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. For me, it was what Flores said with Ross, where he said that he would literally say, pay him to lose. I hate that. Yes, Jared, do we not kind of cheer against our teams when our teams are bad to improve draft position? For me, a little bit, but also it's like, it's nice to see your team win, even if they lose, right? Like, you don't want them to win 8 games in a row and still not make the playoffs, right? It's like, if you're bad, you're bad, right? And I got lucky with the Cardinals that they did end up getting the number 1 pick, right? And I do think the NFL should just institute a lottery, right? Like, come on, it's every other sport does it. Why does the NFL not do it? That is how you curb incentivizing these losing, right? Making that not happen. But yeah, I mean, so for Ross, one shitty thing. One thing I kind of respect, right? He tampered with Sean Payton. It wasn't a player. That was the other person that this at least allegation. One of the reasons he got they got in trouble for this. But again, the NFL. Okay, so you take away a draft pick, 2 draft picks, 1 really important draft pick. You find somebody, you suspend them. Why didn't you do this for Deshaun Watson? What's the difference? What's the difference? Is it because like the play on the field actually was affected and it makes the league look really bad because it's the actual league? A whole team was doing something. I get it. That is a little bit worse than Deshaun Watson, realistically. Like an entire organization trying to manipulate stuff is a little bit worse than one person doing a bad thing, right? So it should be easier to go after Watson at that point. So yeah, I mean, the Dolphins, they're not really going to be affected by this year. I think they're a playoff team this year. We'll get into that like next week or the week after that. It's not going to affect them on the field. Yes, it will affect them next year, the draft. Yes, it will affect them in 2024, the draft. But this is not really going to affect anybody. So the NFL, yeah, you put down punishment, but it just looks stupid because none of us think the punishment is good enough, again. And the day before, you didn't do anything. And you let something happen that a lot of us are unhappy about. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot of take on this because it's just like, okay, again, the Dolphins aren't really punished, so there's nothing to really talk about. It's more of joking, Jared and I, like, oh my God, the owner doesn't get to be in the box for 6 games. They don't even play 6 home games in that span. So he's only going to miss like 3 games. He'd be watching the other games on TV anyways. So it's just stupid. The whole thing, these suspensions, I'm so sick of the NFL and their suspensions. Like, I don't like Rob Manfred, the MLB, but what he did with the Bauer stuff, at least it was a statement, right? The steroid guys, they suspended them. They said, boom. Oh, yeah, and you're not getting the Hall of Fame either. Okay? Just felt like it's like, why Adam Silver? I mean, I feel like they institute some crazy thing like every month, changing the rules of the game, halfway through the season, right? NHL, same thing. They just like, we're going to see the NHL go after the Hockey Canada for a bunch of SA stuff that happens with their junior teams. Horrible if you look into it. I guarantee they will get involved and they will do something to the guys that did it. The NFL chooses to be pussies. Roger Goodell chooses to be a pussy and not do it. With this, again, kind of just kiss Stephen Ross's ass, right? He goes, oh, you're my boss, so I don't want to F you over too much. Technically, you pay me, So it's dumb. Jay, do you have any other thoughts on this, or should we move to the Cardinals?
No, well, listen, let's move on, man, because listen, like I said, these owners, they control everything. And so, yeah,
Sure.
They're going to bend the rules. They're going to cheat. They're going to do whatever they can to try to win. And then Roger Goodell they're going to sit down in an interview room with Roger Goodell one-on-one, no recording, and they're going to say, this is the fine that you're going to give me. And then Roger Goodell is going to come out and make a statement and say, after our long process of investigating, we're going to give Stephen Ross a $1.5 million fine and 6-game suspension.
Yeah.
That's
Meanwhile, under the podium, Stephen Ross has his hand stuck straight up Roger Goodell's ass too. That's what's happening in that scenario.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys are gonna love this, but so we don't have much time left on this podcast, but I have to make a comment about what's going on with the Cardinals, guys. Okay, it's pissing me off. Okay,
I love it. Oh, I don't love it. It's not my team, so I can sit back and.
Jared. Okay, so let me go out there. I love that we extended Kyler Murray. That makes sense. You need a franchise quarterback. There's nothing else you can do, right? The same with Dak, right, Jared? You understand that? Like, it's a guy. Like, he might not be your guy that you want, but you have to have a guy, right? Love that. Okay. Really liked it. I was really feeling good, Jared. It was one of the reasons I wanted to get back in the podcast, because I was like, God, I really want to come on here and be like, the Cardinals are winning the Super Bowl. And then comes out that there's not a no trade clause in the deal, and Kyler doesn't answer the question at the podium when he's doing his introductory or his press conference, and he kind of acts weird about it. Right, Steve Keim sitting up there looking like he's had 8 beers right before this, which we've seen in the past has got him. He doesn't answer it either. Michael Bidwell, our owner, nepotism, wasn't even there. Okay, for the biggest press conference in the Cardinals like last 20 years history, right? So that happens. Then the next day, it comes out. The media, the media comes out. Hey, Kyler has to study 4 hours a week, and I go, that's pretty stupid. Like that, I don't like that. Like, why is that in there? What's wrong with Kyler? Okay. And then he comes out and he attacks the media. Okay. Then the Cardinals take it out of the contract. Okay, Jared, and then today, this morning, apparently Hollywood Brown decided to drive like 140 on the street. So Henry Rugg style. At least this time he wasn't drunk. Right. And he gets arrested. Hollywood Brown. You guys remember that DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for 6 games for having, like, by accident, a steroid in his body? Cool. So now Hollywood Brown gets arrested. Now, looking at these punishments, I don't think anything will happen to him. But you never know, Jared. Maybe they'll just suspend him for the whole year because there's no precedent, right?
I mean, why not?
And then this is the thing too. And I just want to bring this up because I know nobody else saw this, okay, on Twitter. Because I'm already pissed about all those stuff. I see that a company that tracks like Call of Duty video gaming data. They went and they said that and I don't know anything about COD. Okay, I don't play COD. I don't care about COD. Like, I'm not some professional gamer. I don't even have a console at my house to play. Okay. They say that during some like tournament or something like that, or when they release a bunch of perks to make the game better, Kyler Murray's activity went up. And in those weeks, Jared, Kyler played like shit. Come on. Jared, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Okay. We're suspending our wide receivers. Guys are getting arrested. Our owner looks like a dipshit. Our GM's drunk. Kyler looks like a baby, literally and figuratively. Your thought? I hate this right now. I was so high on the Cardinals coming into this season. Now I just want this to turn it. It actually will make it easier to podcast now because I won't have to care. I won't have to be biased. I can just watch the season and watch the Cardinals fall apart, not only on the field, but then on television every week through HBO.
So here's number one thing, and that's actually an interesting point about the Call of Duty. We all know that Kyler Murray is a true gamer, right? And in today's world, a gamer is a real thing. It's a profession. You can make a lot of money in it. That's great. But guess what, Kyler? your number one profession, your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth options should be about the NFL and doing everything you can to not only exceed as the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, but do everything you can to try to get them to the Super Bowl, right? And yeah, guys have lives outside of it. Guys have families. Guys have things going on. But when you have to put a clause and language in a contract that says a player, let alone a quarterback, has to study outside of the building for 4 hours a week. We're not talking about, at first when I heard it, I thought it was 4 hours a day. Okay, that at least would have like made.
And that would be a little ridiculous. Well, and that would make sense, but that would almost be like, Jesus, man, like
that would right. But 4 hours a week. We do know there's 7 days in a week, 24 hours in a day, right? 4 hours a week. They're asking like that. Once again, where does this number come from? 4 hours a week. I don't. So number one, that's just laughable because no player in any professional sport, let alone football, should have something in their contract that says you have to study this amount. We're going to be monitoring your computer or your tablet or whatever the hell you use to study to make sure that you're doing your due diligence and becoming a better athlete, right? Especially from a quarterback perspective. That should be, the quarterback should, it's that old saying of, first one in the door, last one out the door. That shouldn't even be a question. Kyler Murray should be in the gym at 5 a.m. and the last one leaving the building after the head coach, after the freaking owner for that matter, right? Like that should not be a question. So the fact that that was even in doubt from the Cardinals' perspective makes me think that, yeah, okay, there's a little reason or there's more of a reason. And I can see why it took so long for this contract to come about because maybe this clause was in there for a while. And at a certain point, maybe Kyler Murray and his representatives finally said, hey man, like, dude, this isn't good. They're not taking it out. Like it's either you get paid and you deal with it or you don't get paid. Right. And so we already know that Kyler Murray has had some trouble with some injuries. At least now he's secure getting his bag with his money to know that, hey, if I get an injury, I'm going to be set for life. The second thing, once again, this just seems like, I don't want to call the organization a shit show, but they're trending in that direction. There are more negatives than positives going on. We are in training camp. The NFL season is about to be upon us. Tomorrow we have the Hall of Fame game. Like football is about to start. And with the Arizona Cardinals, we're not talking about on the field things. We are talking about a lot of off of the field activities that are negatively affecting this franchise and Kyler Murray himself. So that to me is a recipe for disaster right there. Because when training camp is in full swing, which it is right now, we should be talking about what the athletes and the coaches are doing on the field, not what is happening off the field, right? The last thing I'll say about Kyler Murray and this whole Call of Duty and gaming thing, and this just came to me right now. If I'm another team, especially a team within the division, the NFC West, the Seahawks, the Rams, the 49ers, I'm going to Call of Duty and I'm saying, hey, I'm going to need y'all to specifically release a new update before we play, right? Or like if it's a big game we get later on in the season, it's like a win and get in a playoff scenario. I'm going to Call of Duty as the owner and I'm saying, hey man, what's it going to cost to get a new update for Call of Duty? Because Kyler Murray is going to have to get on that, right? He's going to have to say, all right, well, listen, I got to be on the field at 10. I got like a weightlifting at 9. That means if I wake up at 6, I can probably get like 2 hours of gaming in, hit the gym, hit practice, maybe stay for a couple hours. I could probably come back home for like an hour or two, maybe get another hour gaming in, then go back, right? And then just say, See, that's what's gonna happen. So if I'm the rest of the division, if they're watching this podcast at all, I'm going to Call of Duty and I'm saying, hey, we're going to release some new updates these times of the year. And that's all you got to do to mess up Kyler Murray. It's not coming up with an exotic blitz. It's not having Aaron Donald or Jalen Ramsey on your team to disrupt Kyler Murray. It's an update by Call of Duty. That's all it takes.
Good. All of this, this is what I'm thinking about this, okay? We have a quarterback who wouldn't sign an extension, and they had to put language in a contract for him to study. because he's playing fucking COD too much. Like Call of Duty. You shouldn't be playing video games at all. Get off. You know what this needs to be? This is where his dad needs to come in and throw his PS4 out the window. Okay? Enough. He needs a girlfriend.
I'm starting to think that he maybe should have went and played baseball. Because if he was playing baseball, like no,
play video games.
Not that I played baseball, organized baseball. I don't think you need to put in the study and the man hours that you do for an NFL quarterback that you would a shortstop. Not saying that they don't study or look at film or practice or obviously get in the weight room and better themselves. But I think as a baseball athlete, you probably have a little more free time, right, within traveling or whatever downtime to maybe play those games. But as the face of an NFL franchise and you just got the bag, right? Yeah, Call of Duty's out, my guy. Yeah. See, the contract.
That's what they should have put in the contract.
In my contract to Kyler Murray, it wouldn't have a 4-hour study clause outside of the building. It would have a "you are no longer playing Call of Duty" clause.
100.
Period.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, Jared. Oh, and then plus, yesterday I forgot about this. 2 brawls at practice.
Nice.
Come on. I mean,
nice.
That's not that big of a deal. But like in the midst of all this, you look at it and it's like, who was in the fights? J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins. Like 2 separate. They didn't fight each other. It was Will Hernandez and J.J. Watt going at it. Okay. J.J. Watt just started talking shit. Yeah, right. That's exactly what it was. And then Hopkins threw a ball at like Budda Baker or something. No, not Budda Baker. Byron Murphy after a play because of coverage, and then they fought. So
nice. Oh, here's the last thing just to pile on a little extra about the Cardinals. And I love those fights, by the way. Listen, fights build character. It's hot. It's training camp. You're going up against the same guys day in and day out. You need to go up against another team. They need to get to a preseason game against another opponent. I'm not really worried about fights. Fights shows me that you like have some competitive spirit in you. So I'm cool with the fights. I don't really care about that at all. And on a serious note, Kyler Murray went down with COVID. He tested positive for COVID, I believe, last week. So I don't know if he's back yet or not.
No, he's not.
He's
sitting there all day.
Yeah. He had to spend at least 5 days away from the team facilities, basically quarantining at home. So he had plenty of time to get his 4 hours in of studying, and then I guarantee you he spent the next 4.5 days, 4 3/4 days playing Call of Duty. So I guarantee you he's getting his Call of Duty fix in. So hopefully when he comes back, hopefully he's doing well. Hopefully he doesn't have symptoms. Hopefully he's good. And when he does come back to training camp or practice, I mean, he should have his Call of Duty kicked out of him. He should want to play Call of Duty for at least a day. Right? Like, I don't know, man. In all seriousness, I hope Kyler Murray is doing better. But, yeah, he did have COVID. He was sent home for a minimum of 5 days. So I guarantee if you log his Call of Duty activity in these last 5 days or so, probably through the roof.
Mr. Murray, it's time to go in there and throw that thing out the window. Take a hammer to it. It's over. Jesus, man. Oh, and then we got to play the Chiefs week 1. Nice. At home. Mahomes is going to embarrass us. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is playing COD. He may be making TikTok videos with his brother, but he's not playing COD.
Yeah, no, I don't even think he likes his brother. I think he kicked his brother out or something.
He likes his wife either. No, I'm kidding. He loves his wife. They're having babies and stuff. It's fine. His brother, though, yeah, weird. Jared, what a podcast today. It's
good to be back, man.
Yeah, no, I know. It's good. I mean, I wish my football team going into the season. I mean, we are a day before the Hall of Fame game, which is awesome. Going into this, so I just wish there wasn't brawls and COD and quarterback play. Like, what do you think about your Cowboys heading in real quick? Just like quick thought. Obviously, by the way, full disclosure, if this is all just isolated incidents, it's the media blowing it, things out of proportion. I do like the Cardinals team on the field this year.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that, DeAndre Hopkins will come back, it will almost be like an acquisition. Like we talked about that all day with the baseball. I do like the Cardinals going into the season, and their schedule is somewhat favorable early on when Hopkins isn't there. But nonetheless, all the other stuff, obviously, you can't expect your team to be good. But your Cowboys, what are you thinking about going into the season?
We're not going to go and bash my Cowboys. We're gonna keep it peaceful. We just got to bash your Cardinals, and I love that. Dallas, here's the thing with them. I know they're going to be a good team. I know they don't have Amari Cooper. I know that they just lost James Washington, who broke his foot, right? And so CD Lamb is now their new number one receiver, and that's going to be Dak Prescott's best friend. They lose Randy Gregory. They lose Lyle Collins. They lost a lot more than they gained this offseason. And then Jerry Jones comes out in the beginning of training camp and says that he thinks that this team currently constructed is positioned better than they were last offseason. That's a bunch of crap. Jerry Jones is a great marketer. He is a great when it comes to a business person. But Jerry Jones, you're not fooling anybody by saying that this team currently constructed is better today than they were last year. Just simply not a fact. All right. So do I have less faith than I did, coming into the season last year? Yes, I do. But because of the somewhat weak division that Dallas is in, I think they're going to win the division. I don't think that really matters. I don't really think that matters. Dallas needs to get into the playoffs and win some damn playoff games, right? I'm not saying they need to win the Super Bowl this year. Obviously, I want that. Please let that happen. But Dallas needs to win playoff games, right? I don't want to hear about the regular season. There's going to be adversity. There's going to be injuries. There's going to be things that happen. Every single team in the NFL goes through it. I don't care really what their record is as long as they get in the playoffs, right? I would love for them to have a first-round bye and have home games and all that crap. Get in the playoffs and win games. At this point, they have enough talent to do that, especially within the division that they're in. I know that their division got better. The Eagles got better. The Washington Commanders got better, and the Giants did get somewhat better. So that gap is somewhat closed, as opposed to last year when Dallas went 6-0 against the division. But still, get in the playoffs and win games. I don't care about the regular season. I don't care about, being number one in offensive statistics or any of that, or Dak Prescott throwing 4 or 5 touchdowns a game for 400 yards. I don't care about that. Get in the playoffs. That's all I care about. Get in the playoffs and win games. You do that, I'll be a happy Cowboys fan. Anything short of getting in the playoffs and not winning at least a game, nope. McCarthy, you're gone. Jerry Jones, yep. I already don't like you as an owner. It's just going to make me like you even less. I don't really have faith in this management. The coaching staff, I do love their offensive and defensive coordinators. Mike McCarthy is on the fence as well. So it's a big year for the coaching staff as well as the players. But get in the playoffs. Like I said, I don't care what you do in the regular season. You can win 16 games in a row. I don't care. Make the playoffs and win games in the playoffs. That's all that matters. You haven't won in 25, 26 years, right? I was 5 years old the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a Super Bowl. About damn time. I'm 32. Make it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I can say the same thing about the Cardinals too. We've gotten super close. And I think that this team we have, I mean, realistically, last year's team was really good, but this year's team, it's starting to, you gotta win, right? Kyler's contract is team friendly at this point right now. So yeah, be a fun season. Like I said, season starts realistically today, because we're releasing this on Thursday, with the Hall of Fame game. And yeah, so next week we'll be doing kind of a preview of the NFL season. Dude, also next week, it's because we've been gone so long, I got to get your take on the Live Tour in golf, the Saudi Arabian back tour. It's blown up the golf world. People on their side. Yeah, it's crazy. So we'll talk about that as well, and any other news that comes out. But yeah, for this podcast, we are done. Jared's probably gonna go walk. Yeah, Jared's gonna go walk down and go grab some Starbucks and walk by 1,000 Padres fans wearing Juan Soto jerseys.
Yeah, we got a game in a couple hours.
Exactly. Should be fun. All right. But yeah, for this podcast, we are done. And once again, I'm Nenad.
I'm Jared Smith.
We're back, guys. See you next week.